Dear members of the Parliament of Lithuania in Vilnius, authorities, dear organizing committee, dear Julius, it's a great pleasure to be here. And it's also an honor for me to present Swiss data to you. So I think, it's very, very similar what we heard for Spain. And I think also that show that this data seems to be very general and important for us. And I want to start with a key message. I think it's really time to act and to support our young ones. Yeah, here's also my my conflict of interest, and I have several fundings, and you can see everything also in the internet on the last line, and to look regarding our studies. And I want to start with one finding. So I had the opportunity, because our clinic has now, or some years ago, the 100th anniversary for child and adolescent psychiatry. And therefore, we looked on the numbers, on the development, what happened in the last 100 years. And we saw from 1995 to 2005, there was a decrease of emotional disorders. That was really a great time. And what we heard, that we have now an increase of emotional and affective disorders that happened a lot in the last 10 years. And that is the picture in between of both of the photographies or datagraphs. And you see there is a huge increase of emotional disorders, and these are stress-related disorders. And on the right side, you see our population in the clinic. We have outpatient consultations from 30,000 to nearly doubled in the last 10 years. More than 50,000 of the young ones from the Zurich canton in Switzerland needs help in a psychiatry. So what is the reason for? And what changed in that time? We think one of the most important changes was the digitalization in that time. So nearly everybody has now a mobile phone and is implemented in that area, what we heard from Professor Moreno. So time changed. So I think one of these reasons is can be found in that area. And another point, and I think is also important for other countries, is that we have clear numbers that the mental health costs or healthcare costs increased a lot, especially in the young ages. Here you see the hugest increase is in the young ones, not in the old ones with dementia. We may think there are the highest costs or we are cancer. No, the highest cost developed in the young ones. And so we have really to care for them. Yeah, and we heard from Natalie Hall about the association between media consumption or usage of the media and internalizing disorder, development of addiction disorder or externalizing disorders. But I only searched for 2 studies I want to present to you. The one is a meta-analysis of over 1 million adolescents from more than 1,300 studies showing the increase of internalizing disorders associated with the time and with the content of media usage. That is the one thing. So we know that not only the time is relevant, but also the content. We heard about, on the other end, about pornography, but there is also many harming other contents within the media. So we have to look on that and regulate that. But another study showed that especially internalizing disorders, and I showed you the increase of the internalizing disorders, are very much associated about comparisons within the media. So the adolescents told us making comparisons, social comparisons, how to look like, and so on, that is very harmful for the young ones. And here about my study. Oh, I worked so much on the format, and now I see it changed a little bit. So I'm a bit obsessed normally about the format, so I excuse myself for that, but this is, I think, a technical thing. So we have done a representative study, but we started in the pandemic to ask the question, what is important for the mental health for the youth, what went wrong, what is difficult, but also what is helping, which coping strategies are important for the young ones. The main question of the Swiss and Pro Juventute study, Pro Juventute is a very important foundation in Switzerland. They are caring a lot for the young ones. We ask, what is the most important stress for the young ones? We want to know what is the influence, and we especially ask for the media usage and the factor of the mental health. And also in the pandemic, I said, I do not want really only to focus on the difficult things, because we heard so many bad things. We have also to focus on the good things. What is positive for resilience? What is effective? And what is a good coping strategy? So yes, as I mentioned, the COVID study, I will really say that it's something like a trend study, so we can adapt our questionnaires each year according to the most important questions. And in the pandemic, we ask, next to them what I have said, is there also an increase for PUI? We heard from Natalie this pathological usage of the internet, and we saw, yes, there was an increase, and especially, as Professor Morena said, in the female ones. And we also saw that the young ones said, but for us it's very good to have a good structure on the day. And we could provide this data also to the authorities and to say, should we open the schools, yes or no? So we think that from our research point of view, it's very important to provide the governments and the authorities our data. Yeah, and we have done all these waves, these study waves, together with the Analytic Institute YouGov. This is an institute that is doing also studies if you want to predict the next votes of a government. So the YouGov use a representative, very large panel, and we could also work with them together. Yeah, and now final additions to the methods we have used. We implemented our study across Switzerland, and in Switzerland we have 3 languages. It's German, Swiss, it's French and Italian. We used this YouGov panel of more than 150,000 families consisting of young ones, of parents, so we can also ask the parents about their thoughts. But here we focused on the young ones. And at the end, we had a sample of a national, nearly representative group of more than 1,000 adolescent and young age ones between 14 and 25 years of age. Yes, and here you see we could also make a distribution to the years. This is a bit smaller one. Here in the middle you see we have 3 age groups, and this is important because what Professor Morena said, that the older ones are more resilient, let's say, or showed less pathological use of the internet. That is a result we have also observed, and that makes me a bit, nervous. So here I will present you the data, and we can find really in many European countries that the most of the adolescents said, I feel well mentally and physically. 80%, it's a normal number, but also this is decreasing. But at the same time, 30% of the young ones said, I feel tired and exhausted. And the girls are more affected. They feel significantly more bad in each area, but the good thing is that they reported also more coping strategies. The most of their strategies are more social related, whereas the boys reported more sports, but also humor. The most important stress factors for the youth in Switzerland, and here are perhaps in some countries different results, is that they felt stressed by school and by the feeling of general pressure and not to perform well enough. And I have to say, I saw the most recent finding. Now it switched also a bit to the political problems, that they feel more stress about all what happens around them. But at the end, and we heard this from Natalie Hall call, nearly a quarter of all have experienced psychotherapeutic support. So nearly 1/3 or 1/4 need therapy, and that is a self-report, and that is really a huge number, and we have also to tackle that. We need these opportunities to give them therapy. Perhaps only counseling could be enough, but there is a huge demand of support. So coming to the key findings of media usage, we see very, very similar to the Spain groups, that the adolescents spend 4 to 5 hours a day on media, and 50% reported they cannot stop to use the media usage, or they cannot stop to give the phone away. And 15% reported pathological usage for the internet. And this is really very, very similar to Professor Hall's data. And it's really great that the self-reporting data are so clear. And here you can see, I switched to the next, because in the next slide it's more obvious that on the right side you see the older group, that they reported lower rates of pathological usage of the internet. And that means that the younger ones, they reported more problems by themselves. That means also they need more support. They have not so many coping strategies, and they are more affected. And they reported us also that 50% use the internet to maintain social contacts. That's also quite obvious, but they need the internet also to regulate their feelings, to improve their mood. And here are the problems, the main problems, and I drive with you to the most important findings. So the green ones are the most young ones. They said they have problems to stop, and they have a lot of problems, conflicts with other ones, with parents for sure, and they use the media for mood regulation. So they use not to go out to do sport and something like that. And this is very aligned to the picture Carmen Moreno showed us, that there is a change in our world, and we should provide them really better coping strategies. And we analyzed risk and protective factors in these samples, and we see that protective factors are also very important. We should not look only on the bad side. The most important protective factor is family and friends, and really to avoid to compare all the time with each other. And I said also, please ask your child what they like in the virtual world. Perhaps we can give this also back in another way, not only by media. Yeah, at the end, I have to thank a lot of people and foundations, because without them, it would not be possible to do such trend studies. And as I said before, I think we should have the dialogue and the work together with the governments, and therefore thank you, Julius. I'm nearly at the end. So we, from the research part, we should provide this data to authorities, and we should discuss what we can do together for our society. And at the end, for sure, I want to thank you for attention and the Bootstrap project, that we can do something together and with you. And I'm looking forward to the next part of this meeting. Thank you very much.